Ash Ketchum is the strongest Pokemon trainer in the world. After 25 years, he's faced Leon in the Masters 8 and defeated him to become the very best like no one ever was. Along the way, he's beaten various tough opponents such as Volkner, Raihan, and Drasna of the Kalos Elite Four. This journey also had him face off and win against various regional champions such as Iris, Steven, and Cynthia. But could Ash Ketchum beat every champion? Hey Pokemon Champions, I'm Champion Blaze, and today we're going to see if Ash Ketchum truly is the very best like no one ever was. Ever since Pokemon Journeys was airing and we saw Ash in the Masters 8 tournament, many creators, myself included, have created numerous variations on what Ash's ultimate and strongest team could be. But I'll be testing something different. Let's see if Ash Ketchum can beat every champion with one team. That's right, one team. Now you're probably already thinking how on earth Ash could achieve such an accomplishment with how wildly varying all the different teams are among the different champions. But the champion teams have a lot more in common than you might realize. We'll break down the type composition of every champion team, what the team's weaknesses are, their strengths, and what types are used the most collectively among all the champions. Not all champion teams are created equal, just as Gita. And some are given special attention, just as Cynthia. But I do believe there is one team Ash can use to defeat them all without changing the lineup of his team even once. With that said, leave your ideas for this team down in the comments and which Pokemon you think I'll choose. Now let's see what Ash Ketchum's true ultimate team really is. Let's get started. Ash Ketchum has quite a lot of powerful Pokemon, from the likes of Charizard to Sceptile to Crocodile. However, some of his strongest Pokemon aren't even with him anymore, such as Nebby, Greninja, or Naganadel, so I'll be creating two ultimate teams for Ash to use. A realistic team where he can only use the Pokemon he has access to at Oak's Lab, and an unrestricted team where he can use any Pokemon he's ever owned. I will also be specifically analyzing the champion teams from the anime and using the game teams as background if a champion didn't have a full team in the anime to fill the gaps. With that said, let's begin by analyzing the team composition of every regional champion, starting with Kanto and Johto's champion, Lance. His team immediately gives us some trouble because his team varies drastically depending on what game you're battling him in and in what generation. In Red, Blue, and Green, his team is Gyarados, 2 Dragonair, an Aerodactyl, and Dragonite. This team remains the same in Pokemon Yellow but with upgraded movesets. In Gold, Silver, Crystal, his team becomes Gyarados, Aerodactyl, 3 Dragonite, and now owns a Charizard. His team in Fire Red, Leaf Green is the same as in the Gen 1 game, but his rematch team evolves one Dragonair into Dragonite and replaces the other with Kingdra. His team in Heart Gold, Soul Silver is the same as in Gen 2, but with upgraded movesets. However, his rematch team here is where we see the first massive difference in his team building, as the team now becomes comprised of Salamence, Gyarados, Garchomp, Altaria, Charizard, and Dragonite, the most drastic change to the team so far. In the Pokemon World Tournament in Drifveil City, he can be seen using Dragonite, Salamence, Kingdra, Hydreigon, Haxorus, and Flygon. And finally, Let's Go will give him a Seadra, Aerodactyl, Gyarados, Charizard, and Dragonite. His rematch team would then add on an Alolan Exeggutor. With all this in mind, it becomes difficult to pinpoint what his definitive team is. In the anime, he's seen using his iconic Red Gyarados, Dragonite, and Hydreigon, but I believe his team should be completed by adding Aerodactyl, Flygon, and Salamence, 3 Pokemon he's often seen using. This is also the same team me and JPR gave Lance in our video where we made Ash's best team to defeat Lance. I opted not to give Lance Charizard since that's Leon's ace. I know we have 3 Dragonite trainers with Lance, Iris, and Ash, but they all had their Dragonite on screen while we've never seen Lance with a Charizard before. However, I will make Charizard a 7th honorary member. This means Lance is in possession of the typings of Water, Flying, Dragon, Dark, Fire, Rock, and Ground. Moving on to Hoenn, Steven's team in Ruby Sapphire is Claydol, Skarmory, Aggron, Cradily, Armaldo, and Metagross. When battling in Meteor Falls and Emerald, this team remains the same. In the Pokemon World Tournament, he's seen using the same team, but Skarmory and Claydol have been switched out with Excadrill and Archeops. In Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, his team is the same as in the originals, although his rematch team switches Cradily and Armaldo for Carbank and Aerodactyl. In the anime, Steven was seen with Cradily, Aggron, and his shiny Metagross, so these 3 would stay, filling out the team with Claydol, Skarmory, and Armaldo to match his in-game team. This gives Steven the typings of Grass, Rock, Steel, Psychic, Ground, Flying, and Bug on his team. And so Cynthia's team is easy, as her full team was revealed during the Masters 8 in her battle against Ash, being Spiritomb, Gastrodon, Milotic, Togekiss, Roserade, and Garchomp, practically a 1-for-1 of her in-game team. This gives her Ghost, Dark, Water, Ground, Fairy, Flying, Grass, Poison, and Dragon types on her team. Alder is strange because in the anime he's only ever seen with his Bouffalon, so by default I have to make his team here the same as his in-game team, which would make it Volcarona, Bouffalant, Excelgor, Escavalier, Conkeldurr, and Braviary. This is his most recent team from Black 2 White 2, but in the original Black and White he also had Vanillix and Dredigan, so they'll be mentioned here too. This gives him Normal, Bug, Fighting, Steel, Flying, Dragon, and Ice types on his team. For Iris, she is seen using Aggron, Lapras, Archeops, Hydreigon, Dredigan, and Haxorus. However, in the anime, she has Excadrill, Dragonite, and Haxorus, so we'll finish her team with Dredigan, Lapras, and Archeops, just for more diversity. Hydreigon and Aggron will be honorable mentions as Pokemon she can use as well. This gives her team the typings of Dragon, Flying, Rock, Water, Ice, Dark, Ground, and Steel. Diantha is an easy one as her full team was also shown in the anime as well as in the Masters 8, being Tyrantrum, Aurorus, Gourgeist, Hawlucha, Goodra, and Gardevoir, giving her the types of Dragon, Rock, Ice, Ghost, Grass, Fighting, Flying, Psychic, and Fairy on her team. Then with Geeta, her team is simply her in-game team, as we've not seen any of her Pokemon thus far in Pokemon Horizons at the time of recording this video. So her team will be Avalugg, Gogoat, Espathra, Kingambit, Velusa, and Glomora. She also uses a Dragapult and Chestnut later in Blueberry Academy. So this gives her Ice, Grass, Psychic, Dark, Steel, Water, Rock, Poison, Fighting, Dragon, and Ghost types on her team. Now you may have noticed that I skipped over Alola and Galar. That's because they'll be reviewed separately in this section for anime champions. I'll be giving select anime characters their own section for those who only appeared in the anime and who have wildly different teams in the anime. So first up is Drake from the Orange Islands. He is technically the champion of the Orange League, and the Orange Islands count as its own area. His team is Onix, Ditto, Electabuzz, Gengar, Venusaur, and Dragonite, giving him Rock, Ground, Normal, Electric, Ghost, Poison, Grass, Dragon, and Flying types on his team. Next is Elan, who did win the Lumiose Conference in Pokemon XY, and he was included in the Masters 8 as the 6th strongest trainer in the world, so he's very much champion level. His team is Tyranitar, Bisharp, Weavile, Metagross, Unfezant, and Charizard, giving him Dark, Rock, Steel, Ice, Psychic, Normal, Flying, and Fire types on his team. Now we're getting to Kukui, who's in a bit of a weird position, as in the original Sun and Moon games he serves as the stand-in champion of Alola at the end of the Alola League, but in the anime he provides Ash with an exhibition match after becoming the region's first champion, so it wouldn't be right of me to not include Kukui here. In the anime, his team isn't fully revealed as Tapu Koko would replace his 6th Pokemon, but he does own Incineroar, Venusaur, Empoleon, Lucario, and Braviary. This gives him Fire, Dark, Grass, Poison, Water, Steel, Fighting, Normal, and Flying types on his team. Now because Tapu Koko intervened, it won't be that important to consider here since it isn't officially Kukui's Pokemon. Then we have Leon, whose team consists of Cinderace, Rillaboom, Inteleon, Dragapult, Mr. Rime, and Charizard. This gives him Fire, Water, Grass, Flying, Psychic, Ice, Dragon, and Ghost types on his team. With all the champions having now been covered, what are the most prominent threats to Ash Ketchum that he's going to have to counter? Repeats will be included here, but collectively these champions give Ash 4 Ice types to battle, 6 Ground types, 7 Dark types, 7 Water types, 7 Grass types, 9 Steel types, 10 Rock types, 12 Dragon types, and a whopping 15 Flying types. Altogether, there is great common weaknesses to Ice, Fighting, Water, and Fire type moves. Ground, Dragon, and Electric and Steel would also be troublesome for these champions. Other miscellaneous types these champions present are Ghost, Psychic, Bug, Electric, Poison, and Fairy. This is a tall task to overcome, and Ash Ketchum would certainly have his work cut out for him, but as I stated, there is a proper way to build his true ultimate team in order to defeat every champion without the need for changing Pokemon. But first I need to cover some honorable mentions, so we only need to focus later on the Pokemon that absolutely make the cut. Those Pokemon are Infernape, Snorlax, Incineroar, Gliscor, and Dragonite. I know, this looks Crazy that I've already eliminated some super viable and heavy-hitting Pokemon, especially with the likes of Infernape, Snorlax, and Dragonite. As powerful as Infernape is with its incredible Blaze ability, Infernape suffers from type overlap with 2 other Pokemon on the final team, and its moves also don't provide any additional coverage from the moves the other Pokemon use on this team. Infernape also lacks special achievements that the other Pokemon have, which makes it outclassed. It also shares these same weaknesses as well, rather than having a different weakness which would make it more detrimental to the team. With Snorlax, even though it's super bulky, heavy hitting, has used 6 moves, and has an immunity to ghost types, it too just doesn't stack up as well compared to the other Pokemon. Snorlax is also famously known for simply having Ice Punch, and while that's a great move, it's the only amount of coverage we get from Snorlax with its other moves being Stab Normal type. It would definitely hang in there like a champ, but it is outclassed. Then we have Incineroar, who suffers from a lack of battling experience as an Incineroar and also lacks a diverse move pool, with its moves being Darkest Lariat, Fire Blast, Fire Fang, and Revenge. Incineroar has shown its strength in the Alola League by taking down Kukui's Incineroar, but never battled after that. All we know is that it's stronger than Kukui's, which sadly isn't enough. When it comes to Gliscor, a big bonus for this Pokemon is its typing, giving it an immunity to both ground and electric moves, and its amazing moveset. It's got one of the best among Ash's Pokemon to date, but even though Gliscor is super powerful and defeated Paul's Drapion that swept half of Ash's team, it just hasn't proven itself as much as the other Pokemon. Lastly, we have probably the most shocking honorable mention being Dragonite. This Pokemon is a pseudo-legendary dragon flying, can use Dragonite Meteor, and helped Ash become the world's strongest Pokemon trainer. So why isn't it on the team? For 2 reasons: type overlap and move overlap. Dragonite only has dragon and flying type moves, and then shares these same weaknesses as other team members. It would add nothing new to the table and would be more detrimental to the overall team composition. It's also got a pretty mixed battling history, going from an absolute powerhouse to receiving a horrible losing streak even into the Masters 8. With the honorable mentions covered, let's see what team Ash Ketchum can make to become the definitive strongest trainer in the world. To start off our ultimate team, we need Pikachu, Ash's #1 partner. This may seem like a no-brainer, but Pikachu is actually incredibly important to have. Firstly, it's Ash's only electric-type Pokemon, and it's one of his few Pokemon to have just one weakness, being ground. That gives Ash less variables to worry about when he puts Pikachu into the battle. Pikachu's moveset is the iconic Thunderbolt, along with Electro Web, Quick Attack, and Iron Tail. It's not that diverse, but it makes up for it with its versatility, which is also backed by Pikachu's speed and power. Pikachu is incredibly fast, and its speed allows it to evade many attacks, and it can even use Quick Attack to dodge with extra speed, and can use Quick Attack to increase the power of Iron Tail by giving it more force. Electro Web can also be used as a springboard, a defensive shield, or used as a trap to immobilize enemy Pokemon. When it comes to battling, Pikachu has many incredible feats, starting with defeating its evolved form Raichu in Ash's gym battle against Lieutenant Surge, defeating Claire's Gyarados, defeating Misty's Mega Gyarados, beating Karina's Mega Lucario, it's beaten Brandon's Regice, Tobias's Latios, Gladion's Silvally, and even Tapu Koko. That's 4 legendary Pokemon. Pikachu has come through for Ash time and time again, and was the one to defeat Leon's undefeated Charizard in the finals of the Masters 8. And let's not forget it has the ability to use Ash's patented Counter Shield technique to defend against incoming attacks and deal damage at the same time. With all this in mind, Pikachu is able to defeat the Ice types, the Rock types, the Flying types, and Water types, and also match up well against Diantha's Gardevoir, and Tapu Koko in Ash's battle against Kukui. I know I said Tapu Koko isn't highly important to consider, but it is worth mentioning since Ash did battle against this Pokemon in his exhibition match against Kukui. The next team member is Charizard, Ash's original fiery brawler. This is a Pokemon packed with history, strength, and tons of great victories. Charizard showed it wasn't to be messed with from the very first time we saw it use Flamethrower as a Charmander. Ash and Charizard's relationship may have been rocky for a while, but Charizard eventually became one of Ash's best battlers. Its last moveset was Flamethrower, Dragon Tail, Slash, and Wing Attack. I'm still a little salty at knows Wing Attack of all moves. Give it Air Slash or something. And I heavily debated between Charizard and Infernape for this team, but ultimately Charizard did win a spot on the team as it's got a longer history with Ash, more battling experience, and more power than Infernape. Yes, Infernape has Blaze, but Charizard doesn't need its Blaze ability to be super strong. Charizard has come through time and time again for Ash, defeating Blaine's Magmar, Faulkner's Pidgeot, Claire's Dragonair, even went toe-to-toe with Entei in the Spell of the Unknown, battled its heart out against Harrison's Blaziken, defeated Gary's Blastoise, beat Gary's Golem, and had the power to defeat the legendary Articuno. And when it returned in Black and White, it promptly showed Iris's Dragon Dragonite just how strong it is even after all this time. Charizard is and always will be an absolute powerhouse. Charizard also has no special battle mechanic to take advantage of. No Mega Evolution, no Z-move, no Gigantamax, not even a bond phenomenon. Charizard is that powerful all on its own with its natural strength. It went through one of the best development arcs in all of Pokemon and has one of the best relations with Ash. With Charizard's power, it can handle the Ice types, the Dragon types, the Steel types, and the Grass types. Charizard can also decimate Alder's Bug types and Conkeldurr, Diantha's Hawlucha, and Steven's Armaldo. And with Electric being a scarce type among the champions, its only real threats are Water and Rock. Plus Charizard resists arguably the best type in the game, being Fairy, a huge bonus for this Pokemon. The original Fire starter for sure had to be on the team. Next is another Kanto Pokemon, but from his Journeys team, Gengar, his goofy and playful ghost. Gengar has had an interesting history as a member on Ash's team, going from a punching bag to an MVP once it unlocks Gigantamax. Gengar is a ghost poison type, which makes it immune to normal and fighting and allows it to resist poison, fairy, grass, and bug types. So Gengar immediately resists one of the best types in the game, and grass is one of the most common types among all the champions listed. So this resistance is super helpful. Gengar's moveset is Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and Will-O-Wisp. Immediately the standout moves are Dazzling Gleam and Will-O-Wisp. Having a fairy move is huge for Ash, as Gengar is the only Pokemon that actually has a fairy move, and then having Will-O-Wisp makes Gengar the only Pokemon capable of easily inflicting a status condition with a status move. Burn is a great status condition as it can lower physical attack and chip away at a Pokemon's stamina. Gengar may not have used this move to its full potential in the Masters 8, but it would definitely be helpful here. Gengar's battling history may have had a rough start, but has been capable of defeating Visquez's Raichu, Raihan's Flygon, Raihan's Goodra, Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Paul's Metagross, Steven's Aggron, and Leon's Inteleon. Pretty impressive victories here for Gengar. With Gengar's moves and its typing, it can handle the Dark types, the Grass types, and the Dragon types. It also matches up greatly against Cynthia's Togekiss, Cynthia's Spiritomb, absolutely bodies Alder's team as it resists half of it and is immune to half of it, does well against Diantha's Gardevoir, Diantha's Gourgeist, is immune to her Hawlucha's fighting type moves, would match up well against Tapu Koko if battling Kukui, breaks Gengar, and does well against Gita's Espathra and Veluza. Gengar is incredible for this team, coming through one of the best movesets of any of his Pokemon, and with the Cursed Body ability it can take away an opponent's move for a while too. Gengar's ghostly movements and intangibility powers would also make landing a hit on it very tricky, plus this Pokemon is capable of Gigantamax, so this is a huge factor that earns it a spot on the team as well, so I had to put Gengar on the team. We then have Lucario, the Aura Warrior. Lucario is one of Ash's truly strongest Pokemon, as it wields the mystical power of Aura, which then allows Ash and Lucario to become even more connected in what fans call the Aura Bond phenomenon. Lucario is also capable of Mega Evolution, which is a bigger factor for it being on the team, but also has allowed it to defeat some incredible opponents, such as Cynthia's Garchomp and Togekiss, and Beak's Gigantamax Machamp. Even before achieving Mega Evolution, Lucario was a threat on Ash's team. Due to receiving plenty of focus and development as a Riolu, it evolved into a powerful Lucario that was able to stand up to Mewtwo. Even though it was defeated, it beat both Volkner's Rotom and Luxray, Paul's Gyarados, Raihan's G-Max Duraludon, and B's Grapploct. Its inner focus ability is also a big help as well. Lucario is also the fighting type I chose when choosing between Lucario and Infernape, but as I mentioned in the Charizard segment, Infernape is just outclassed here. Its fire fighting, both types that are covered by Lucario and Charizard, and its coverage move Dig is also known by Crocodile, so Infernape really adds nothing new to the team and is more of a liability than anything else. Its moveset is Aura Sphere, Reversal, Bullet Punch, and Double Team. With Lucario being fighting steel, it has many resistances to types used by many of the champions. It's immune to any poison attacks and resists normal, bug, steel, rock, grass, dark, dragon, and ice type Pokemon. That's an impressive 8 resistances plus an immunity. Lucario is also only weak to fire, ground, and fighting, with the only decently abundant threat among the champions being ground. With its typing and moves, Lucario can demolish the ice types, dark types, rock types, steel types, and also matches up well against Cynthia's Togekiss, resists almost all of Alder's entire team aside from Conkeldurr and any flying moves from Braviary, and Diantha's Gardevoir. Lucario is a highly valuable asset to the team here, and even landed the finishing blow against Cynthia's notoriously powerful Garchomp. Lucario was even made stronger by being shown how to truly tap into its aura by undergoing special training with Ash's Greninja back in Kalos. It's by far the best battler on Ash's Journeys team outside of Pikachu, and one of the Pokemon he's most connected with. With the sheer number of Pokemon Lucario can fight against and resist, it's more than deserving of a spot on this team. Our penultimate team member is Krookodile, Ash's Unova ace, the beast behind the shades. Krookodile is one of Ash's more unique Pokemon in terms of its story, as very early on as a Sandile, it would cause trouble for Ash and want to battle him. This continued into when it was a Krokorok as well. It went from being a rival for Ash's Pokemon to joining his team and being a very powerful team member, and helped clutch a win against Bryson in Iciris City. It would later evolve into Krookodile in the Pokemon World Tournament Junior Cup against Iris's Dragonite, where it would learn Dragon Claw and proceed to defeat Dragonite, thus proving it's strong enough to even handle a pseudo-legendary. Krookodile has one of the best movesets as well among all of Ash's Pokemon, being Dig, Stone Edge, Dragon Claw, and Aerial Ace. Absolutely incredible coverage and move diversity. With its typing of Ground Dark, we now have a counter for any electric types the champions might use, as well as any electric type attacks. Gliscor would have been good for this as well, but its typings overlap with Charizard and Krookodile. Krookodile being a dark type is also why Incineroar isn't here as well. Krookodile also gives us an immunity to the powerful Psychic type, which is crucial considering Diantha's ace Pokemon is a Gardevoir. With these typings and moves, Krookodile can brawl with the flying types, the ice types, the dragon types, the grass types, the rock types, the steel types, and can even stand against Drake's Electabuzz and Gengar, Alder's Volcarona, Excelgor, and Escavalier, Diantha's Gardevoir, Leon Cinderace, and Gita's Espathra. Krookodile is an insane MVP here, being able to handle the two biggest types among the champions being Flying and Dragon, and being immune to Diantha's Gardevoir is huge since it would only be able to be hit by Moonblast. Krookodile has incredible stamina and endurance, as it really pulled through for Ash in his Unova League battle against Stefan, going up against his Liepard and Sock. Krookodile for sure can handle these champion-leveled Pokemon. And finally, the last team member is none other than the GOAT Sceptile, Ash's Hoenn ace. Sceptile is of course a grass type and the only mono-type Pokemon here besides Pikachu. Despite it being weak to poison, bug, flying, fire, and ice, it is one of Ash's toughest battlers to date. This fighting spirit was apparent when it was a Trico. When it evolved and became a Grovyle, it even participated in the Hoenn League as a Grovyle. It'd gone up against plenty of tough opponents, including Norman Slacking, even activating its Overgrow ability, when known as Artalria, which it defeated. Katie's Walrein went up against Greta in the battle frontier and even fought Brandon's Regirock and made it take a knee. This Pokemon is packed with power. In the Terracotta contest, Sceptile even fought Maze Blaziken and held its own the entire match despite the type disadvantage, which Sceptile has been known for doing. It always hangs tough. I also need to mention that Sceptile is the Pokemon that replaced Dragonite on the team. Yes, Dragonite was originally going to be on this team, but as I mentioned towards the beginning of the video, Dragonite only has Dragon and Flying type moves, being Draco Meteor, Dragon Claw, Dragon Dance, and Hurricane. If I need a Dragon type move, I can just use Krookodile's Dragon Claw or Charizard's Dragon Tail. If I need a Flying type move, the same two Pokemon got me covered with Aerial Ace and Wing Attack respectively, so Dragonite adds nothing new to the team. At least with Sceptile, I have another Pokemon that easily deals with Rock, Ground, and Water types, with Ground being something this team actually struggles with heavily. And by not having Dragonite on the team, my only Pokemon weak to Rock is Charizard, so Sceptile was the much better choice here in my opinion. Sceptile's moves are Leaf Storm, Leaf Blade, Quick Attack, and Bullet Seed. Now this is definitely the least diverse moveset on the team because at least Pikachu has Iron Tail, but this really works for Sceptile. Sceptile can use its moves to handle the Rock types, the Ground types, and the Water types, and would be able to go toe-to-toe with the other Grass types as well. It's nothing crazy, but Sceptile's strength is undeniable. And let's not forget that outside of battling Regirock, Sceptile managed to defeat Tobias's mythical Pokemon Darkrai in the Sinnoh League, the only Pokemon in the entire Sinnoh League to do so. And on top of that, we have the fact that Sceptile is so fast that it was able to catch up to a speed form Deoxys and dish out a point-blank Solar Beam. This makes it arguably Ash's fastest Pokemon alongside the likes of Pikachu and Greninja, so the Hoenn Ace is our final team member. So the realistic team that I think Ash can use to defeat every single champion without rotating his Pokemon is Pikachu, Charizard, Gengar, Lucario, Krookodile, and Sceptile. From the aces of Unova and Hoenn to his 3 battle mechanic Pokemon to Ash's OG powerhouse, this is an outstanding team that can stack up to every single champion and truly give Ash the title of strongest Pokemon trainer in the world. But what if Ash's team was unrestricted? What if we give him access to any Pokemon he's owned, which includes released Pokemon? Well, the team will be a bit different. Let's see how our team will change. When making Ash's unrestricted team, there are some Pokemon that will still remain in our lineup, being Pikachu, Charizard, Gengar, and Lucario, meaning Krookodile and Sceptile will not be on our unrestricted team. With these 2 ace Pokemon leaving the roster, who's gonna replace them? The first Pokemon being recruited to the unrestricted team is Naganadel, Ash's insane Ultra Beast. Naganadel is such a cracked Pokemon for Ash to have in his possession, and it proved how insane it was in the Alola League during Ash's exhibition match against Kukui. Firstly, Naganadel, as previously stated, is an Ultra Beast, which already means it's pretty powerful, having increased stats and the Beast Boost ability, which will raise its most prominent stat upon defeating a Pokemon. In this case, Naganadel's best stat is its special attack, and next is speed, and a speedy special attacker is just the kind of Pokemon Ash likes to use. Naganadel was able to defeat Kukui's Lucario in their exhibition match by using a Twin Dragon Pulse at point-blank range. This would activate its Beast Boost ability to increase its special attack even further. Naganadel had an excellent Pokemon League debut by defeating Kukui's Lucario and then being an even match for the Island Guardian Tapu Koko as well. It may have lost that battle, but it gave a legendary Pokemon a run for its money. Naganadel is also Poison Dragon type. Yes, that gives us another Poison type on the team, but this in return also gives us the Dragon type, one of the best types in the game. Naganadel 2 also outclasses Dragonite, as it's shown to have more power that matches legendary Pokemon, and its moveset is just insane. Naganadel is rocking Thunderbolt, X-Scissor, Sludge Bomb, and Dragon Pulse, 2 great special stab moves and then very nice coverage. With these moves and its typing, it can take out the Dragon types, the Flying types, the Water types, the Grass types, and can match up against Diantha's Gardevoir, obviously Tapu Koko as shown in the exhibition match, and resist nearly Alder's entire team. Naganadel also has a whopping 7 resistances, almost as many as Lucario, being Fire, Water, Grass, Electric, Poison, Bug, and Fighting. Naganadel is very much deserving of being on this ultimate team. The last Pokemon making its way to the Ultimate Team is none other than Ash's Greninja. Greninja is one of Ash's most iconic Pokemon. It essentially is the Pokemon XY anime and the main reason it became as popular as it is. Greninja had an incredibly well-written story, until the ending at least, and its development into one of Ash's strongest Pokemon was outstanding to see. Ash and Greninja's bond is like no other, even having the strong bond labeled as the bond phenomenon. They are the embodiment of a trainer and Pokemon truly becoming one and in perfect sync with each other. Greninja's strength was on full display even when it was a Froakie, as it was instrumental to his victory against Grand and Salage City, played a big role in defeating Ramos in Coumarine City, battled alongside Talonflame in Olympia's Gym in Anastar City, and landed the finishing blow against Wolfric's fearsome Mega Abomasnow in Snowbell City. The Ash Greninja transformation grants Ash's Greninja a power bonus akin to that of Mega Evolution without the need for any stones. This led to Ash being able to almost defeat Diantha's Mega Gardevoir even without having fully mastered the transformation, gave us one of the best battles in anipoke history with Ash Greninja versus Sawyer's Mega Sceptile in the Kalos League semi-finals, and even allowed Greninja to go head-to-head with Alon's Charizard, who, keep in mind, defeated 10 Mega Evolved Pokemon in a row, which included Malva's Mega Houndoom, was an even match for Steven's Mega Metagross, defeated Karina's Mega Lucario with ease, swept Trevor's team with ease in round 1 of the Kalos League, and was even strong enough to stand up to legendary Pokemon like Zygarde, as well as Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre. This Charizard is built different, which only goes to show just how much strength and power Greninja truly has. Greninja is a Water Dark type with the moves Double Team, Water Shuriken, Aerial Ace, and Cut for some reason. Could have just given him Night Slash. And it's a good thing Greninja has Aerial Ace as a coverage move, because then we don't miss out on that flying type coverage that we got from Crocodile. With these moves, Greninja can battle against the rock types, the ground types, the grass types, and is resistant to all the ice and water types. It's also resistant to fire as well, which is a fairly common type among the champions as well. Greninja also stacks up well against Lance's potential Charizard. Nearly Alder's entire team, Diantha's Hawlucha and Gourgeist, would be excellent at countering Diantha's Gardevoir because it would be immune to its psychic type attacks and only be weak to Moonblast, does well against Kukui's Incineroar, Leon's Cinderace and Charizard, Alon's Charizard, and is immune to Gita's Espathra and Veluza. And it can defeat Gita's Go-Go as well. And it's also resistant to all the Ghost and Steel types the champions use as well. Greninja is a true champ to help out on this team. With the sheer strength of Greninja, its bond with Ash, the Ash Greninja form, its battling history and record, there is no way I'd leave it off the team. So we officially have our 2 teams that Ash can use to defeat every single champion, without rotating Pokemon once. His realistic team of Pikachu, Charizard, Gengar, Lucario, Crocodile, and Sceptile, and then his unrestricted team of Pikachu, Charizard, Gengar, Lucario, Naganadel, and Greninja. These are the best of the best Pokemon that can bring their A-game and stack up against all the Pokemon the various champions can use. With their combined typings, move coverage, and resistances and battling history, I think these are the 8 best Pokemon and 2 best teams that Ash can use to truly be the very best, like no one ever was. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you'd make any changes to my teams. A special thank you to our channel members for their extra support, and for more Ash Ketchum team videos, click the videos on screen. Until next time, train hard, and I'll catch you guys later.